Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about German playwright and theatre practitioner Bertolt Brecht's concept of epic theatre. As in my previous video, I have made it clear to you that Brecht was not comfortable with the contemporary realist drama. He wanted to use his art, his theatre, to question the realities, to make the audience think about what is being presented on stage. So he worked upon this concept of epic theatre. Let's try to explore in detail what this epic theatre is. Students, as the name itself shows that it's a form of theatre and it was developed in Germany in 1920s. Here, one thing is to be keep in mind that Brecht worked upon this concept of epic theatre, no doubt, but this term epic theatre was coined by his contemporary Erwin Piscator, and Brecht worked upon this very idea and he added a lot, contributed a lot to make the theatre a vehicle of shaping the world around, a vehicle of changing the social realities. And if we talk about the origins of the epic theatre, we can say the contemporary political and social scenario played a great role in giving a Marxist coloring or moving Brecht towards Marxism. So just to go with the Marxist view, to make everything change the society for good, and Brecht decided to use his plays, his theatre also, to change that very situation of the world after the World War I, or especially of the Germany. And moreover, the concept of the conventional theatre, conventional dramatic theatre, was not in tune with Brecht's idea of art, which was colored by Marxism, and his idea was, I quote, "Art is not a mirror but a hammer to shape the reality." So to make the theatre as a hammer to shape the reality, he just introduced certain devices, certain techniques in theatre to make it according to his own design, and that design which he invented is called epic theatre. We can define epic theatre as a theatrical stream that developed in the 20th century in Germany, and the main aim of this epic theatre was to tell the story in a simple fashion so that the audience can be stimulated to think about the consequences of the events that are being presented before them on stage. And here one thing is to be noticed, that in Aristotle's Poetics, students, you have studied about the Aristotelian unities, where Aristotle talked about the three dramatic unities: unity of time, place, and action. Those three unities are no more applicable in this epic theatre, because the very first aspect of this theatre is to be epic. The epic theatre is called epic because of the structure or structural form of the epic, which is followed in epic theatre. That, as you are all familiar with the structure of epic, that epic is generally defined as a large body of a work that can be broken down into a number of smaller stories. And the same is with the epic theatre, because in conventional realistic epic drama, the story or the sequence of events were arranged in a particular order with a beginning, middle, and end. But in the epic theatre, there is a collage, there is a montage of scenes. So just because of structural unity with the epic, it is rightly named as epic. Now the second aspect of epic theatre is historification. Brecht believed that to make the audience question the realities presented on stage, it is necessary to show or to portray the events of the past which are not close to the contemporary audience. And the pastness of those events must be emphasized. And the idea behind this concept was that the audience must view the events with which they can identify or the situations which correspond with their own situations, and they must think that if they lived under those circumstances in that very situation, they would try and change it. The audience must also have the feeling that change is possible. In other words, we can say that Brecht looked at the process of historification or the concept of historification as a means of creating a critical distance in the audience, because his aim was to make his audience think objectively about the events which are presented before them on stage. And this very process of historification was used just to alienate, just to make a distance between the audience and the story, so that they can give a objective response to that very reality, that very story which is being narrated before them in the form of a collage of scenes. So the alienation is the very important technique which was an innovation on the part of Brecht as a theatre practitioner, we can say, and he just used many devices for this alienation in his theatre, and we can say that alienation is the very identity synonym to epic theatre in theatrical practices. And the idea behind this technique of alienation was that the audience should not be allowed to be swept away with their emotions as it used to happen in conventional realistic drama. The audience should not identify too strongly with the character on stage so that they do not lose their critical distance. The opposite of identification is distance. The opposite of identification is alienation. In traditional drama, as we have seen in Aristotle's Poetics, there is an identification on the part of audience with the characters, with the events, with the actions which are being presented on the stage. But here, the opposite of identification, that is alienation, that is distance, is adopted. And this is what the production of that very theatre should try and achieve. And moreover, Brecht believed that the theatre makers should use all means to keep the audience apart from the events which is portrayed on stage. And for this very alienation, for this very defamiliarization, we can say, this Brecht just opposed Aristotelian concepts of unities and all, and he introduced his own techniques which are known as alienation techniques. And if the audience is kept at an emotional distance, they are not swept by their emotions, only then this alienation has been achieved. And in our further next video, we will discuss in detail about the alienation, which is in German called Wolframdang's effect of epic theatre. It is also called as V effect. And here, if we just define this alienation in simple words, we can say that when something recognizable is represented, but it has been made strange is in some or the other fashion, that is alienation. Brecht believed that if you represent the world in a strange fashion, then you will stimulate the desire to change the world. So something common is therefore portrayed as something strange. Actually, the purpose of alienation is to stimulate the audience critical capacity so that they can become involved in the change of society. The idea that the audience must not be emotionally involved in the production. That was the aim behind this concept of alienation. And now it's quite clear that Brecht's epic theater is very different from the dramatic theater. So let's have a look between what is the difference between the dramatic theater and epic theater. So student, it's clear now that the idea of objectivity and the absence of empathy develop into a concept of theater that is called epic theater. Now let's talk about the difference between the epic theater and the dramatic theater that was popular before Brecht introduced epic theater. Students, dramatic theater has a plot or story. When someone goes to the theater expecting the plot to be laid out before him or her and all issues to be resolved at the end. No question is left unanswered. But on the other hand, this much neatness, this much clarity in the growth of the plot is not there in epic theater. What happens there? The narrative begins and ends and just leaving the issues unresolved, and the audience is left with questions about what they will do, how they will react, how they will respond in that particular type of situation, in that particular type of reality which is being presented on the stage before them. Actually, Brecht thought that dramatic theater was pure entertainment, and he believed that dramatic theater should engage the audience in an emotional experience only for their time in theater. On the other hand, in the epic theater appeals to the reason. Epic theater shows an argument. It's a sort of clear political statement. The audience remains objective and he watches a montage. A series of scenes is there. And standing outside the action emotionally, the audience can study the story objectively and he or she can recognize the social realities. And on the other hand, what is the scene there in dramatic theater? The plot works on the principle of growth. There is not a series of scenes but a gradual progress. One scene is connected with another scene with the law of probability. And on the other hand, in the epic theater, the plot doesn't have that much linear development as it is there in the dramatic theater. The linear narrative in the dramatic theater means that its events happen in a chronological order, and on the other hand in epic theater we can say it just progresses in curves, or in other words we can say that it has a fractured narrative, that is non-linear. Students, now there are two things. One is feeling and another is reason. And when we talk about epic theater, it appeals to the reason because it shows an argument. And the audience questions the reality which is being presented on the stage because it turns the audience, it turns the spectator into an observer. On the other hand, the dramatic theater appeals to the feeling because it implicates the audience in a stage situation. So in this way, epic theatre was introduced by Brecht as a form of art to shape the society, to shape the reality on the basis of reason, to change the things, to take action, to make the audience active enough to respond to the realities which are being presented on the stage. Thank you.